Libra, look in your mirror today. The universe wants to show you this. Libra, look in the mirror today. Not tomorrow. Not when you're more put together, more ready, more, I don't know. Today. Now, if possible. And not that quick glance you give every day when you brush your teeth or put on lipstick. No. Stop. Look for real. Because there's something there that the universe has been trying to show you for weeks, maybe months, and you've been avoiding it. Of course you have. Libras always avoid it. You're masters at looking at everything except yourselves. Masters at analyzing everyone around you with that surgical precision, that absurd ability to see every detail, every nuance, every little lie hidden behind a forced smile. But when it comes to your own reflection, nothing. Strategic void. And it's not because you're superficial, God forbid. It's quite the opposite. It's because you know, deep down in a part of you that you prefer to keep locked away, you know that if you really stop and look, if you truly see yourself without all the filters, without the performance, without the edited version you show the world, you're going to have to deal with things you've been putting off. And who wants that, right? Who wants to look in the mirror and see that they're tired not only of sleeping poorly, but tired of pretending? Who wants to see that smile you put on when someone asks, "Are you okay?" starting to fade from your eyes? Who wants to admit that you're becoming a smaller version of yourself just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you? Nobody wants it. But the universe doesn't care what you want. He has a schedule, and you're on schedule. Overdue, actually. That bill you've been putting off? It's due. And the way the universe has chosen to collect from you is the cruelest of all for a Libra. It's not by taking away the people you love. It's not by destroying what you've built, no. It's forcing you to look at yourself. No escape. And today specifically, there's an energy that, how do I explain this? It's as if all the planets that govern self-reflection, that force inner truth, that no longer accept masks, were in a meeting. And the subject of the meeting? You. Specifically you, Libra. And they decided it's over. The time for you to live on the surface of your own life is over. The time for you to be so deep with everyone but yourself is over. So today, when you look in the mirror, you're going to see 3 things. And I'll tell you now, you won't like the first one. You'll resist the second. And the third? The third will change everything, but only if you have the courage to look until it appears. Because most people look away at the first one. Almost everyone gives up on the second. But the third one is where the magic happens. But let's take it easy. The first thing you'll see when you really look, when you stop rushing and being distracted and putting your phone down and truly, genuinely look, is the tiredness. And it's not work tiredness. It's not routine tiredness. It's that tiredness that lives behind your eyes. That tiredness that doesn't go away with sleep. That doesn't improve with vacations. It's the tiredness of carrying versions of yourself that aren't you. Let me explain better. You have the persona you show at work. That competent, balanced person who never loses their cool, who mediates conflicts, who makes everyone feel heard. Then there's the persona you have with your family, the one who keeps the peace, who swallows comments, who smiles when they want to scream, who is never a problem, always a solution. And then there's the persona you have with friends, the fun, easygoing one, who's always in a good mood, who listens to everyone's problems, who gives the best advice but never, ever needs help themselves. There's the version where you're in a relationship, or the lack thereof. There's the version you post on social media. There's the version that wait, how many versions are there? Have you ever stopped to count? Because I'm telling you something, you're living like 5, 6, 7 different lives at the same time, and none of them are whole. None of them are complete. They're all fragments. And the exhaustion you'll see in the mirror today, it's the exhaustion of trying to keep all these versions functioning without ever letting them touch each other, without ever letting one contradict the other, without ever showing the backstage mess. And this is killing you, slowly, quietly. But okay, you'll see it today. If you really look, you'll see it in their eyes. You'll see it in their posture. You'll see that you don't even realize anymore that you have to shrink. Literally make your body smaller when you enter certain spaces, when you talk to certain people, and that's where the temptation comes in. The temptation to look away, to think, okay, but everyone does that, to rationalize, to transform painful perception into abstract psychological theory that demands nothing of you. Because Libra is a master at that too, at intellectualizing feeling, at transforming pain into a dissertation. But not today. Today, you will feel it, and it will hurt. I'm not going to lie. It will hurt in a specific way that only the truth can hurt. It's not the pain of an external wound. It's the pain of recognition. It's that pain of, I always knew, but I pretended I didn't. It's the pain of complicity with one's own diminishment. Because nobody forced you, right? No one came along and said, oh, from today on, you're going to be a smaller person. You chose. Small choices. Hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. Every time you were silent when you wanted to speak. Every time you agreed when you wanted to disagree. Every time you smiled when you wanted to cry. Every time you said, it's okay, when nothing was okay. Small choices that brought you here. To the mirror. Today. And that's the first thing you'll see. The accumulated cost of all those micro-betrayals against yourself. And it's going to be heavy. It's going to be like, you know when you carry shopping bags for a long time and only realize the weight when you finally put them down? That's it. You'll see the weight, and you'll think, damn, I was carrying this the whole time? Yours. But then comes the second thing. And the second one is more subtle, harder to catch. Because the second thing you'll see in the mirror today isn't what's there. It's what isn't there. It's the absence. It's the ghost of the person you could be if you hadn't made all those tiny choices to diminish yourself. You'll see her, behind you, or to the side, or kind of superimposed, like a transparency. And it will be bigger, more complete. It will have that thing in the eyes that you used to have. That spark of, I know who I am, and I'm not asking for permission. That posture of someone who occupies space without apologizing, and you're going to feel, what? Anger, sadness, self-envy? All of that together probably, because you'll realize you didn't lose that version. You weren't robbed. You consciously, actively, methodically dismantled it, piece by piece, to make it fit, to avoid being inconvenient, to make it palatable, to be accepted. And did it work? Are you accepted now? Or did you simply replace rejection with tolerance and call that a victory? Because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between people truly accepting you and people accepting the tiny, harmless, and convenient version you offer. And you know which is which. You always knew. You just pretended not to know because the truth was too inconvenient. But today, the truth doesn't care about your convenience. Today, she is knocking on the door. Or rather, today she's in the mirror, waiting, and she'll stay there. That second image, that ghostly version of who you could be, until you decide what to do with her. And you have 3 choices. First choice, you look away. You decide I'm talking nonsense, that this is cheap self-help talk, that you're fine, that everyone makes concessions, that's just how it is. And then you go back to your old life. And that ghost version, it stays. It just gets more and more transparent, until one day you can't see it anymore. And then you forget it ever existed, and you become 100% the diminished version, permanently. Second choice, you look, you see, you feel everything, but you decide it's too late, that you made choices, that there are consequences, that there's no going back. And then you transform that into beautiful melancholy, into aesthetic nostalgia. You make poetry out of your own defeat, and you move on. But at least you saw, at least you know, and that's something, small, but it is. Third choice. The third one is where it gets interesting. Because in the third choice, you don't look away and you don't accept it as the final outcome. In the third choice, you look at that ghostly version of who you could be and you ask, aloud if possible, you ask, how do I get there? And here comes the third thing the mirror will show you. But before I tell you what it is, let me ask you something. Are you ready for this? Because the third thing isn't comfortable. It's not inspirational. It's not like those Instagram quotes that everyone likes and forgets 2 seconds later. The third thing is an action plan. It's a blueprint. It's a map. But the map doesn't show pretty places. The map shows all the places you'll have to go and do uncomfortable things. All the conversations you'll have to have, all the boundaries you'll have to set, all the people you'll have to disappoint. Because that's how it is, right? That's what you're afraid of. It's not a fear of failure. Libra isn't afraid of failure. Libra is afraid of disappointing, of causing a stir, of being the problem, of being the difficult person, the demanding person, the person who dares to have needs. But the third thing the mirror will show is exactly that. He will show you, person by person, situation by situation, where you need to start being difficult, where you need to start being demanding, where you need to stop compensating, adjusting, being the eternal emotional tightrope walker for everyone but yourself. And it will be specific, like someone's face is going to appear, someone in your life that you've allowed things to happen to that you shouldn't have. And you're going to feel that tightness in your chest, that no, not that person, anyone but that one. But it's going to be exactly that person. Because the universe is surgical. It goes straight for what hurts the most. And the mirror will show you what you need to say to that person. It won't be written in a silent film-style caption, but you'll know. That thing you've been swallowing for months, maybe years. That truth you've been avoiding because you know that when you speak, it will change everything. It will change the dynamic. It will change how the person sees you. It might even change whether the person stays or leaves. And that's precisely why you've been avoiding it. But today, the mirror will show you that the cost of continuing to avoid it is greater than the cost of finally speaking up. It will show you that you're paying an absurd price for this false peace, that you're selling pieces of yourself to buy a fake harmony that can't withstand 5 minutes of real tension. And then it's your decision. You decide whether you're going to keep paying this price or whether you're finally going to say what needs to be said. Do what needs to be done. Be who you need to be, even if it means disappointing expectations that you never, ever agreed to fulfill, but assumed by default. And here's the plot twist. The plot twist is when you finally do it. When you finally speak, act, choose yourself, you realize that the ghost version of who you could be, it wasn't out of reach. It was there all along, waiting for you to make room for it. Waiting for you to let go of all the small versions, all the performances, all the unnecessary concessions. And she returns. Not all at once. It's not instant magic. But you start to feel it. That spark returns. That posture returns. That thing of taking up space without apologizing returns. And people notice. Some people won't like it. Of course not. Some people were interested in your smaller version, in your endless availability, in your ability to always give in, always understand, always be the adult in the relationship. And when do you stop doing that? When do you stop being convenient? They complain. They accuse you of having changed, of being different, of being selfish. And you know what's funny? They're right. You've changed. You are different. And if choosing yourself is selfishness, then yes, you are selfish. And everything is fine. Because what's the alternative? Going back to being small to please people who only want you diminished? No, it's over. You've already done that. You already know where that leads. It leads here, to the mirror, to exhaustion, to the ghost of who you could be haunting you. Not again. So today when you look in the mirror, you'll see these 3 things. The weariness of being so many smaller versions of yourself. The ghost of who you could be. And the map back. Then you choose. You can look away. You can look and not act. Or you can finally, after all this time, do the one thing Libra is most afraid to do. You can choose. No compensation, no adjustment, no but, no just this once. No, I don't want to hurt. If you choose, clean, direct, total. And when you do that, when you really do it, it doesn't matter who stays or who goes. It doesn't matter who approves or who criticizes. Because for the first time in a long time, maybe for the first time in your life, you'll look in the mirror and recognize who's there. Not a version, not a performance. You, whole. And that's priceless. So go ahead, look in the mirror today, really. And if you have the courage to see all three things, to truly see them, to not look away, you can't go back to being who you were before. Because who you were before was less than you are now, and you don't shrink any further. Never again.